What were the motives behind the assassination of Julius Caesar? In a quote from Marcus Cicero, he writes, "But the events which followed were such that it is more of a surprise that they could have happened at all than that we should have not have seen them coming, and have failed, being but human, to foretell them." He's pointing to the chaos that ensued after Caesar's rise, especially after the Alexandria War and the other conflicts that followed. What Cicero is really saying here is that the situation in Rome had become so unstable and unexpected that the future was unpredictable. And that's exactly the problem many senators, including Cicero, had with Caesar. They believed he was more focused on expanding his personal power and pursuing his military campaigns than he was on restoring stability to Rome. To them, Caesar's leadership didn't make Rome stronger. It made the state weaker, more divided, and more vulnerable. This quote reflects that frustration, as the sense under Caesar was that Rome wasn't moving towards peace, but towards an unpredictable future that no one felt prepared for. In another quote from Marcus Cicero, he's writing to Cassius, and he states, "You shared Caesar's counsels, but I tried to meet him. I have been kept apart. I live among the groans of Italy. We could have alleviated suffering if the man in authority had been there." He's revealing a lot about how Caesar's leadership was experienced by the people around him. Cicero is telling Cassius that while Cassius had access to Caesar and in his inner circle, Cicero himself was kept at a distance, shut out from all the conversations and decisions that shaped Rome. And because Caesar was absent from Italy during critical moments, Cicero says that the country was left suffering needlessly. If Caesar had been present, or if the power had been shared more broadly, some of that pain could have been avoided. This selective inclusion, deciding who gets close to power and who gets pushed out, reflects the behavior of a monarch, not a leader of a republic. And this is exactly what worried many senators. Caesar's habit of surrounding himself only with certain loyal figures while excluding others created distrust and resentment. It left Rome's major decisions in the hands of one man in a small circle, rather than the hands of the Senate. Another way we can see the motives behind Caesar's assassination is to look to one of his closest friends who betrayed him. Many people believe this to be Marcus Brutus, who is better known as just Brutus from the quote, "E2 Brutus" from Shakespeare, to be the biggest traitor to Caesar in his assassination, but this is not the case. Marcus Brutus had a cousin named Decimus Brutus, who was a general and politician in Rome, and also one of Caesar's most trusted allies and longtime friends. It is believed that Marcus Brutus was the main ally of Caesar, but Brutus actually served in Pompey's army in the Roman Civil War, fighting against Caesar. Once it was known that Caesar was winning the war, Brutus, along with Cassius, became more neutral and were pardoned by Caesar as he placed both of them on the Senate. This action is confusing, as both of these men fought against him in the Civil War, and therefore there would likely be some lack of trust from Caesar towards them, as they did not hold all of the same views. Decimus, on the other hand, was always at the right hand of Caesar, fighting in many battles, such as the Battle of Gaul and the Siege of Alasia, before fighting alongside him in the Civil War. This raises the question of why did Decimus raise a dagger to Caesar less than a year later? Rome had always been recognized as a republic, yet had been close to a military dictatorship for a long time, and Caesar was the first recognized dictator of Rome, which led to uneasiness for many of Romans. It was Caesar's ambition, rather than his political beliefs, that turned Decimus against him. As Decimus began to believe that Caesar did not have the best intentions for Rome at heart, he was acting like a true dictator, and he was more concerned with war and his quest for power than he was with the good of the people and the government of Rome. Caesar was an incredible military leader and predominant figure in history, but the Senate felt that he was a danger to Rome and its future.